KMJ Live, Green Brilliant Studios, downtown Herndon. Sumner, Director of Sales, SolarEdge, welcome to the show. Inverters, batteries, more specifically, SolarEdge, what are you doing to impact our homeowners in the solar world today? How are we doing today? Sumner Comro. Did I do that? Did I do that?
You got it.
We're happy to have you. Sumner Comro, Director of Sales for SolarEdge. It's taking a while to get you on the show, man.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. As you notice right behind me, the picket fence has started with the interconnection department for every utility company, and we love it.
There's always challenges. Yeah.
And that's, we're going to get into that. But first, I want to say thank you. There's a lot we can get into. But first, I want to start off with Sumner, inverters, batteries, blah, blah, blah. We'll get into that. What's your background? Where do you come from?
How long of a story do you want? We're talking about my solar background or my just...
Tell me what's important before solar and what led you into solar.
Yeah, that's a good question. So, I started my big journey in Atlanta. I was born there.
Make the movies, I think.
Well, they're starting to grow in a lot of different ways. But was born in the South. I moved to California for other reasons. Got into solar officially in 2009. Got into solar because, I was running some eco initiatives in festival production and doing, staging and recycling programs and all of those things. So you could call me a tree hugger.
I was almost on the fence, but there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
My wife is. Let's forget the term. Let's just say we care about the environment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think one of the challenges is, you have these kind of two directions. One, you try to cut back or go back in time to a place where we didn't have some of the current luxuries we have, right? So I love my TV. I love my air conditioning. I have an electric car. I love the fact that I have all these things. And so you could either go, hey, well, we shouldn't have these luxuries and, we should go back to a place where we were just farming off the earth and live in this way, or we can create a new way to power our devices and enjoy the air conditioning and enjoy the TV and enjoy the electric vehicle, but maybe have a cleaner source of power so that's more sustainable. And that's really where my head was at. So I wanted to get into renewables and found my way into solar in California. Started in retail lead generation, started in door-to-door knocking, topic of conversation. But yeah, we did my time there, launched a program in New York, then took over Phoenix, Arizona, grew a market there with Sunrun at the time.
Okay.
And then moved out to South Carolina and launched that market with the company before moving over to SolarEdge in 2019.
2019. So I'm kind of doing the math here. 2019 to 2024, which is not hard math. That's 5 years. Okay, so we've been with SolarEdge for about 5 years, and my understanding is that you have partnered with Green Brilliance for the last 5 years.
Well, yeah. I mean, one of my first accounts here was coming up and meeting with Sumit and the team here, and really loved the culture and what you guys were trying to build, and so partnered early and have loved to see the growth. And so,
what was that interaction like? Your first meeting? I want to hear about that.
Man, that's a good question. So here we are. I selected this glass this morning. We got the old school logo. So we're just talking about it.
We're trying. I don't know if we can pick this up, but yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, the company has seen a lot of growth since then. The offices have changed. I think you guys were just starting the rebranding process around the new logo at that time, and and really just growing sort of into the residential space in a big way. Had taken on some commercial projects, I think like an airport project and things like that, and it was exciting for a number of different ways. But since then, it's just been growth and working through challenges and solving problems, and it's been a great partnership.
I appreciate that. I don't know if you're saying it just because we're on air, but appreciate that. No, you're not, or you wouldn't be on the show. We really, really appreciate this. Yeah. So let's get into some more specifics on how you've kind of helped Green Brilliance and how we've helped SolarEdge kind of get to the next level over those last 5 years, okay? Start very small because I always want to impact the homeowner. That's the point of this show. So I want to talk about batteries and inverters and kind of how they pair together or how you view that they pair together. But first, in your terms, for the homeowner, okay, what is your definition of a solar PV battery and a inverter? All right, let's just start very small.
Well, I think one of the big trends happening is that it's not just an inverter or a PV.
There we go.
And it's not just a battery. It's really a whole home solution or an ecosystem trying to solve more than just one problem. It used to be just a high electric bill. That certainly still drives a lot of the initial interest, but it's a lot of things. Smart home, integrations. Wanting to be able to really have more control over your home, over your sanctuary, your castle. Right? How do I really improve my overall experience there, and controlling your energy, just in production, consumption, storage.
Production as in how much your system produces, how much your solar system produces. Again, I'm spelling it way out loud. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I think solar is one of the unique opportunities for a homeowner to make electricity. Most people don't have a full, natural gas power plant in their backyard.
I don't.
That'd probably be a bad idea for most folks. But solar is something that people can do. So, production as a piece of a home ecology for electricity is certainly a trend. EV, having your vehicle sort of dock at your house at night rather than just park.
Yes,
these are interesting concepts that are now they're more than concepts. It's now where we're making inroads into these things.
I'm a guilty EV user as well. And I it wasn't for the tax credit. I would like to say that it was, but they got me. Like those commercials, man. I'm not going to say which one because everybody automatically goes to Tesla. But
well, I have a Ford Lightning, so I
whoa. Yeah. How long does that thing take to charge?
It depends on which kind of charger.
Are we talking about Electrify America games or an actual?
When you're on the road, you got to you can't use the level 2 when you're on the road. You got to use a bigger charger.
Or a Ford Lightning. Yeah. It's not a Ford. It's not a Ford commercial.
Well, the infrastructure is growing, right? And I think right now it takes a little bit of muscle memory for you and maybe some planning to make sure that your route does go by one of the fast charging stations. But I've kind of got my muscle memory down now. And, when I would stop in at a gas station before, it was usually a pit stop for me. I wouldn't just fill up with gas. I would fill up with gas. I'd take a stretch. I'd go walk through the shop. I may buy a candy bar, a coffee, hit the restroom, come back. Now it's just a little bit different. It's stop at the Walmart.
I know what you're talking
through. I got a 2-year-old instead, so it's buy a toy. And then by the time I do that, I come back out. It's not 15 minutes, it's 25 minutes, but I got a charge. And I'm able to go on the next 200 miles of the journey. And I use my EV for work, so I do a lot of travel with.
Yeah. How do they go together? Okay. In SolarEdge terms, in Sumner terms.
Well, I think more and more people do want to have everything play together. There's kind of two strategies in everything these days, and we all kind of bring it back to the PC versus the Mac approach, right? Do you build an ecosystem that's plays nice with everyone else's, and so everything is interconnected, or do you try to build a all-in-one? I think that people are moving more and more to this like kind of all-in-one solution. So, SolarEdge has our own battery. We have our own smart controls. We have our own EV charger. We have our own inverter. We have optimization on the roof. All of it is ours. And so it's all on one app.
I was thinking of, is there an app for that? That's a line, but it's true. Like
the app is very attractive. It's got a lot of controls. I mean, you can control, do you want to turn on or off your AC unit from the app? Now it requires some hardware behind it, but there's
well, walk me through this. This is so I'm the homeowner, okay, and I've got your entire suite, your entire setup, all right. And what I mean by that is I can control everything. I've got the app, all right.
Mm-hmm.
I can have, I don't know, my AC going at 62 degrees and just kind of. Is that what we're talking about, or tell me, because I want to be wrong.
I mean, there's I think there's levels of that. So I think. There's a lot of sort of smart thermostats out there today where you could do that down to the temperatures. I have a Honeywell AC thermostat app on my phone. I think that's one thing, but the other is more like as it relates to to your home, especially in an outage, right? So you go into an outage. What do you want to run in an outage? Can you power everything? Maybe.
Hopefully.
But do you power it for 15 minutes? If it's just a short outage, maybe that's what you want to do. But if it's a prolonged outage, what do you really want to run? And so we have now devices where you can control whether or not you want something operating or not in an outage without necessarily doing open heart surgery on the home and excluding things permanently from operating in an outage, which was the kind of the old way.
So what would that mean? Like I can just keep my swimming pool on and everything else works, or?
Yeah, you could like exclude a swimming pool or an AC unit when you go into an outage, and then if you have enough power, the sun comes back out, but the grid is still down. You could opt to turn things on as you have excess, right? But you could also keep them off if you're going to be in gray skies for the next 3 days, right? So I think there's more and more move to that. People want more and more control there, but it's a cost versus value ratio. So what depth of control? And we have options, and we're constantly innovating there. So it's not necessarily just about what we have today, but where we're going and where the industry is going.
And I'm glad you brought that up. Where are we going, in your opinion? And what are some of the challenges that we're faced?
Well, the challenges, wow, that's a bigger question. I mean, where we're going.
I like to load them up now.
That's a two-parter, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Where we're going is to an interconnected, you want to have your ability to operate separately, but you also want to have the leverage to operate in a smart grid where your asset can be used to, deploy it into the grid or, game a particular utility structure to add value and offset cost and increase ROI and all of those.
Sure.
But that plays to some of the challenges as well. To answer the second part is the home is the castle. You want to grow your value of your home and your control there, but you also are seeing utilities change rate structures.
Sure.
Sometimes to the point where it really just doesn't make sense for solar without storage.
As in a battery.
A battery, yeah. Smart control, load control. So that's a trend. That's a challenge and an opportunity at the same time. In that, I think it transitions people to thinking about solar plus storage. Though it may not be as easy to sell as familiar a sale.
So as a homeowner, like again, I'm putting myself in my own shoes, all right, and I'm kind of going, why wouldn't it be as easy to sell? And sell is not a bad word, okay?
Oh no.
Why would I not want a fully loaded suite with a battery to run my entire house?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a matter, again, it's kind of like cost to value, right? So people, are still sort of wrestling with like, what is the cost of something? What's the real value of it? And that's really the whole issue there.
We did a few episodes back. We did an episode with Castle Stone roofs, and it's truly shown that not only when a PV system is installed, it bumps up your value about 5% with a Pro certification, okay, equity wise, and on top of that, you add a new roof, which is it honestly was a mystery to a lot of people, including me, before I got into the solar industry. Oh, no roofs. Oh no, when you do your roof along with the solar system, okay, you get a new roof, say you need a new roof, hundreds of thousands of millions of Americans need new roofs. It's actually not a curse. It raises the value even further. So would it be fair to say that we do a PV system with a battery system? I was about to say full battery system, but let's just keep it specific to a battery system. Will that raise the cost of your house value too? I mean, in these times, it actually matters.
Yeah, I mean, well, yes. I mean, I think that there's a value to it. What is the value to it is the hard
Correct.
part, right? So what is the value of it to you? What is the value of it as a sort of intrinsic value or market-driven value? And it's a harder question because as I think we're still, although solar is not where it was, and although smart home is not where it was 5 years ago or 10 years ago, really we're still just getting started.
Yes, we are.
Even in markets that have a lot of solar assets or PV assets out there, there's going to be a day where they need to be upgraded, or there's going to be a feature set that comes out that they want, and there's going to be an aftermarket. And so we still have a long way to go before that's all that's left. And you can kind of think of like AC or roofs. Everyone already has a roof.
Yeah.
Everyone already has an AC.
Hopefully.
So thinking about sort of upgrading or replacing to increase the value is different than adding in the first place. If no one had an AC and you were in there selling the value of an AC, it may be a different practice than, hey, your AC is old and it's a 2-SEER, you really need a 3-SEER or a 4-SEER or a 5-SEER or whatever. That I'm not great on that terminology, but you need the new one, and hey, if you get the best, there's a tax credit, but it costs more. That's a different game, and that's what I think where we may head in 15, 20 years. There's certain markets where that's the reality today.
Correct. We'll get to the tax credits in brevity in a moment, but 2.5%, according to Forbes magazine, about 2023, 2.5% for interested buyers. That's the value that your home has actually raised. Okay, now is that tangible? Well, and that really depends on, do you have a buyer? But the buyers are looking for solar. The buyers are looking for a full battery backup system. 2.5% raises an actual 2.5%. So we're dead on here. Okay, we were actually meeting right where I wanted to meet. This brings me again. We say homeowner. We say I'm the homeowner. Okay. Customer service. What does that mean to you? What does that mean to Solar Edge? Because sales is sales, but without customer service, my friend, we're not doing anything.
Well, this is there's kind of two things to think about here. Is one, the value of a good installation partner cannot be underplayed. I think a lot of the sort of big press will be around, what equipment you select. But at the end of the day, the person who built it knows it. They're also responsible for how they built it. And so you want to select Green Brilliance or a great installer, because you can buy the best and still not get a great customer experience.
Correct.
On the other side, manufacturers do have, and different levels of customer care. I think we are building and have built the best on that front. Our platform allows for both the installer and our team to monitor systems proactively. So we can identify issues as long as the site is communicating proactively for our installers and our homeowners. Certain things we flag, we know exactly what the scope of work is going to be, and we can schedule that at a very low cost because we don't have any troubleshooting to do. We just know what we need to do. We go do it. And I think that the efficiency of having really the heart of our system is down on the wall next to the meter and the service panel. And if you have any issues, you come down there and you tinker around with that and you leave. And most of our services today are maybe 30 to 45 minute services. You never have to put a ladder up against the side of the wall, go up this. And I think that's one of the things that, we spend a lot of time talking about, the brand of the inverter or things like that. But, for a homeowner, you tell me this thing is going to save me money or it's going to give me more control or whatever your pitch is. And I'm thinking, that's nice. But what about my roof? Mm-hmm. What about grandma's sofa that's irreplaceable that we've been somehow managed to, or maybe not sofa, maybe it's a coffee table. They've had in the family for years, and what if there's a roof leak and it damages that? Like, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. And so you get over that. Once you install this thing, man, you don't want to go back up on that. And so any service, being able to keep off the roof, I think that's one of the key values that we believe is important to consider. And so we put our inverter and all of the more complicated components down on the side. When you get on a roof today, you have to anchor in for safety. You have to have two bodies for safety. It's all OSHA. And so, you want to put, you don't want to put people on that roof ever again if you don't have to, and that's one of the drivers of our solution. So
be proactive rather than react.
Yeah. So, I think let's make it like the rule of three is like 3 bullet points. One, you create a system where, you do have, if you do have service work, you're mitigating your roof work. 2, you create a system that has the ability of remote diagnostics and troubleshooting, so that you don't have to spend a lot of time on site and drive up the cost. And then 3, it's just about resources. Making sure that you do have a great team, a good call center, a good response staff, and we've really doubled down on that. So I think today SolarEdge is. I don't have a bunch of stats for you, but our response times are best in class.
Usually same day, but I'm not counting. No, they are.
We're talking time to resolution on a phone like in the minutes, not anything longer than that.
U.S. manufacturing. Let's talk about that, and I'm going to leave it up to you. Okay.
Yeah. So I just like I was saying, I think the certain things you can say, certain things you can't. Mm-hmm. We do have a public record, but we do have U.S. manufacturing. We opened our manufacturing product out of Austin,
Texas.
Yep. Yeah, and we're ramping that. I think it is important to have that U.S. manufacturing strategy today. We have the IRA, which really puts a lot of incentives and also a lot of constraints on companies that don't have that strategy. And so we're aggressively moving in that direction. Yeah.
I think that's the natural order of things. We had Sun credit on here a few months back, and it was almost identical to what you just said. We don't need to get into it too much, but at the end of the day, just the fact that you're present in the U.S., that I think that's a game changer. Okay.
Oh yeah, I mean, so I think one thing I can say is that we see it as a great opportunity. For a long time, U.S. manufacturing was just too expensive. And it wasn't that we didn't want to build here. It was boxed out on economics, and I think that that's changed. We are now seeing great efficiency in manufacturing U.S. So I think that there's been, the current policies are very favorable, and I think it's a win-win for the American people. I mean, we are now going to manufacture more product here. I mean, I would imagine that U.S. manufacturing will ramp to a place where U.S. manufacturing starts to supply at net export. And
it's going to take some time, but I agree.
I will speculate. I don't think it'll take that long.
Really?
No, I think we're looking at. I can't promise specifics. I can't tell specifics, but I think that we are aggressively scaling U.S. manufacturing. So I think that that's an exciting opportunity for us, and we're exploring it.
Amazing. Yeah. Amazing. During the break, we had mentioned we got to go back to the EVs. We got to go back. I want to go back. Why are we going back?
Why are we going back to EVs? Well, I think we had some people in the room say that I'm thinking about EVs. That was really, really interesting. And so, why do we got to go back to EVs? Well, I think EV is a big drain on power. One, so now you want to think about how you're making power, and so there's a natural correlation between people who buy an EV and get solar, and vice versa. People who get solar start to think EV. So there's this natural synergy around those two things, right? And I think there's a lot of exciting concepts in EV. So vehicle to grid, vehicle to home, and so for us, I think we're developing products. We were at RE Plus this year talking about under development our bidirectional EV charger. It's a DC coupled EV charger.
Okay.
So asterisk, under development, not on the shelf.
Sure.
No one's going to go out and buy one today. But there's a lot of things to work out. So manufacturing standards for automotive, integration, like how are the automotive manufacturers going to set up their firmwares, their softwares,
Sure, are we adapting?
Their adapters to allow sort of this access to discharge that car and recharge it, so it's got both ways. And so as we work with the OEMs on this, there's some questions that are still left. So, but we are developing it. We are, we fundamentally believe in the DC side of this. So solar kind of has two sides. You have the DC side, which is what the panels make. It's also what the batteries operate in. DC is sort of like, call it the fundamental form of electricity, natural, organic electricity, if you want to call it something.
What we're used to.
It's sort of the normal way, is sort of the natural way electricity kind of operates. When you have a PV cell or a battery cell, it's going to put out and use DC power. Your car battery is DC. So we believe that if you keep everything on that DC side, there's efficiency. And so we build our architecture to try to make sure that efficiency is captured. So it's a DC coupled EV charger. So faster charging, more complete charging, more efficiency. So it just means that, you can plug it in, it'll charge faster. It'll more seamlessly integrate with a battery on your wall if you wanted to keep that storage on the wall. And so it'll be the sort of the gold standard in EV charging. It's probably a few years out for folks to really have the scale, both solar and EV together to.
Sure, but I think it's another step to again, in my mind it immediately goes to free. It's not free, okay, but freedom. There was a time when there was no utility companies. People did just fine. Now this was years and years and years and years and years and years. Yeah, but why not go back to the basics? And so through your explanation, honestly, one of the biggest things that kept jumping out to me was, no, you spend some money now and then you're not paying for gas. Literally, you spend some money now and you're not paying for gas, and then you just pull that car in. And then, but as we get further down the road, and that's actually not far away. 3 to 4 years is not far because I'm already in my mind going pre-order, Solar Edge, pre-order. It feels like it's becoming closer. Okay, we generally again we're tied to our phones, we're tied to our alarm clocks, we're tied to well, it happens here, it happens now. There was a time when the sun told the time. Okay, I mean, again, I'm getting really primitive here, but it's important to go back to that. So before my rant ends, okay, it just dawned on me. I've got you on the show. I do have Enphase coming, okay? Not right behind you right now. To my knowledge, they're not picketing the fence. They're on the same side, okay? But why Solar Edge? Why does Solar Edge stand out? Because I have reps from all over the country, honestly, going, well, let's just the microinverter and let's just keep it standard and this and that. And why is production? Should we use Enphase? Why is Solar Edge the real answer? Why is Solar Edge the key?
So, I think we were, just can't keep the threads going, right? So this EV, sort of integration. So, our EV charger plugs into our inverter. It's the easiest install of an EV charger and the lowest cost that there is out there. You don't require extra breakers. You don't require extra 240 outlets. It's you get extra performance when the sun is out and pushing extra power. So you kind of call it a level 2+ charger. So you get these nice advantages when you pair it with our system. That's only going to get more pronounced once we start to launch sort of this idea of like bidirectional or DC coupled EV charging. It'll go just one step further along that line. And I do think that there's a big difference between our core strategy, which is optimizing DC, and just pushing everything to AC.
Sure.
So, and this isn't just, the micro guys, and there's lots of micro inverter companies out there.
Of course.
The strategy of a micro inverter is, honey, I shrunk the inverter, right? You zap it with a ray gun, you bring it down, you make it smaller. But you got a bunch of challenges. As panels get larger, you've got to make the inverter bigger. It requires more amperage. It's adding more amperage to the system. And so you're adding more breakers, you're adding more BOS to your systems. And every time you're converting that power from DC to AC. So up on the roof, you convert it. You bring it down, you got to put it back into a battery or back into the car. You convert it back to DC. You then want to put it back onto the grid. You got to convert it back to AC.
Figure it out.
So we call it the triple threat conversion, right? So you get these extra conversions, and every conversion has a loss. And so you start to lose power. I think traditionally people have thought about this as just like, well, I'm only using a battery for backup. And in that world, a loss is a loss only, an incremental loss in a particular event, in a moment. But as we start to move to using your battery, using your EV as a storage device over and over and over and over again, now we start to think about these losses as compounding over time. Right, this sort of investing strategy, it's like the whole idea of like financial advisors is to tell you about compound interest. So like you take a small thing and you compound it over time.
You'll get there.
Yeah. So for us, I think the DC architecture provides far more efficiency and far less losses on conversion. And then the other side is, and it's not just the micro guys, it's us versus everyone else, traditional string inverters. And we call our solution an optimized inverter because we have a patent on this, right? So we optimize all of the power on the roof DC to capture we really harvest the whole of the roof's energy, bring it down. Once it's down, that's where we convert it. So you have one conversion. That conversion only happens after you've charged your battery or your EV, right? When we release this DC-coupled EV charger, right? And then you have that one conversion. But you also gain straight line efficiency. So we are we are the most efficient inverter on the planet. We provide the least clipping, and you're not going to have this triple threat conversion. So I think as we see, and one of the trends we talked about was like net metering, but I think another one is just
I want to talk about that.
Interest rates have really put a wrinkle in this. I mean, this is a major home improvement. All home improvements are typically financed. No one's going out there and spending $50,000 on renovating their kitchen. Typically, they're financing that. So a lot of these things have been put on ice.
Put on ice.
Our industry is not immune from that. I mean, financing solar is maybe 90% of the market, 80%. I don't know, something like that. So we've had a real challenge in that interest rates has squeezed
everybody
value.
has.
So in this world, there's a point where a few percentage points matter incredibly. And I think in an inverter topology, an inverter costs a certain amount of money. Well, I don't know what it is. In a total cost stack of a system, it may be 10% or 15% of the total cost of the inverter of the solution to a homeowner. Right?
It's a fair variance.
Yeah. But what I pay as a homeowner on the system as a total cost is what I'm expecting the value to come from, right? So if I pay for $30,000 for a system, how much power I get out of it for $30,000 is the
correct. You're looking at the number.
So you take the inverter or the battery and all of these things, and you say 1%, variance, 2%, 3%. These are real numbers, and when we're the most efficient solution on the market, and the real question is, well, what if I needed to be 1% larger on my system size or 2% larger on my system size just to keep up with the straight line efficiency? And these things stack. So
everything builds.
What if it was 10% more power that I got from SolarEdge than from someone else? Well, I would have to build a 10% larger system just to hold my own, right? Just to get the same value as a homeowner. Now I'm thinking, well,
I'm thinking money.
Yeah, the cost of let's say it's $30,000, $3,000. Well, now
it's an extra about $6,000 there. If that's at 10%.
So if I'm spending that extra money, that's the conversation. Like it's almost like, do you want a free inverter, or do you want an inverter that's going to have an outsized impact on your total system's value? That's really where we're. So the efficiencies, the conversion losses, these things get washed over, and certain salespeople will say it's not important, or it's just 1%, or it's just 2%, or it's just 6%. I mean, it really is not a big deal for them, but an educated homeowner really wants to squeeze every last drop of power out of that thing because it cost them $30,000. So, and with a battery, maybe it's 45, 50, 60, depends on how big the system is.
Correct.
So, so I think the efficiency of the solution, I think we have the right recipe. So I think that's why people should use us.
You do too. I think you do too. I wanna close by honestly opening this up to you. If you're willing, I'd like to touch on net metering, but at the end of the day, like, what are your thoughts? What are your challenges? What are we really facing? And when I say we, I mean not just SolarEdge, not just Green Brilliance as an EPC, but what is the solar world facing?
Well, I think the first thing is to say that the opportunity when you zoom out to outside of like a year or a market. I mean, SolarEdge is a global manufacturer, really serves the international community. And so we're in all sorts of different markets, and we see the trends. Solar's not going away. So the first thing is for all of us to know that macro trend, renewable energies is now sort of past the tipping point. We are going to see the industry grow. It may dip, it may have a pullback, it may level off for a year or two. And it may do that in North America, but in another market, it expands. And at the end of the day, we're gonna see more and more adoption of renewables. Now, to say specifically our challenges, I think we've got to figure out the right structures with our utilities. We've got to get sort of the alignment with our utilities.
Actually work together.
Yeah. I mean, it's an us-them thing, but I mean, at the end of the day, a lot of that is driven by this belief that it's a zero-sum game. I mean, when we start to use EVs, and everyone converts from fuel that is combustible to fuel that is electric, you can either try to build a lot more factories that burn coal and natural gas and gas, just burn it over there versus in the car, or you can start to build more assets. And that's where I think as we just start to see the proliferation of EV and the strategy to cope with that, we're going to have sort of a lumpy road with the utilities, but it's going to end up being an opportunity.
I love that. I'd also love in the next coming months, maybe we'll do a part 2 of Solar Edge, Green Brilliance, and we'll see where everybody's at. I know that we'll be climbing. I know we'll be climbing high, but at the end of the day, it's always fun to kind of come back to this and see where we're at. Sumner, it's a pleasure. Thank you for making a difference with Green Brilliance. Thank you for making a difference with our homeowners and the energy world.
Yeah, and thank you for having us. Thank you for the continued partnership, and we look forward to growing alongside you guys.
Unity is power, my friend. All right, be blessed. Sumner, it's been a sincere pleasure. As the industry grows, Solar Edge and Green Brilliance will continue our partnership. Thank you for being here. Thank you for making an impact on the solar world, and again, most importantly, our homeowners.